What's going on? Happy Thursday evening. Happy first Thursday night football of the season to all you football fans. Alex and Cole with you tonight. Cole, what's going on?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. It is going to be a great night, and we have plenty of things to talk about this evening. But Andrew, the Cowboys, and Dak Prescott sadly will not be one of them. I'm not in the mood to talk about such things.
Oh, man.
But let's give a quick shout out to some of the people I see in the chat. Good evening, Thomas. Good evening, Derek. Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, Billy. Thank you all for joining us. And if you could, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, share this link if you could, and let people know that we are on and ready to talk about wrestling.
We are on. We have a lot to talk about, and we're not going to go 2.5 hours like we did last week. So
that was the pilot episode, if you will, back in action. We had to give them a 2-hour special.
The reboot pilot. I like it. But what would we be without something that doesn't work? Let's try that again. There it is.
There it is.
Why don't we just lead in with some black and gold talk? Why don't you kick us off?
It's been a minute since we got to say the words black and gold. Oh man.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually just got to watch NXT like right before the broadcast. So it's actually like fresh on me, because like I didn't, in our chats and stuff, I don't always get a chance to like. Some of y'all can just really talk a lot, and there's a lot of chat to go back through sometimes. So I haven't got a chance to see anything, but I just saw Alex posted something in the chat regarding black and gold, and I was like, I got to watch NXT. I got to find out what is going on here. And it leaves you on such a cliffhanger at the end of the episode, because all through the night they're celebrating 1 year of NXT 2.0, like, it feels like we're just kind of getting started with this whole graffiti colored looking brand that they did. And then you get the infamous Shawn Michaels voice that's talking about building up the future, and boom, black and gold logo pops up. And I'm like, what? What are we doing here? So I told you before the show started that I kind of felt like there was a deeper conversation here than just like a logo change or a brand change.
Yeah.
Because as we know, under Vince McMahon's reign, he was not a fan of like the indie guys coming in who are above 30, who, career-wise don't have a lot of, let's just put it this way, longevity compared to what he was wanting. And a lot of them also didn't have that build that he was wanting. And so we kind of saw him transition away from that. And now under the Triple H regime, I don't think it's just a black and gold logo and ring design and set design that's coming back. I think that mentality is coming back with them pursuing the indie talent, the kind of the established names, if you will, that are out there that are not WWE, as well as continuing to build up, their own stars, if you will. And I don't know, did you get a chance to watch all of NXT this week?
I've not watched all of it. In fact, I'll be honest, I've not watched a ton of it, but I've watched enough to, even before they showed the black and gold at the end, I saw enough to where I could tell that it's not 2.0 that I saw whenever it first started. Prior to this past Tuesday, I had not watched any of NXT 2.0 for months.
Right.
And I just happened to come across it, and I'm just like, you know what? The new regime is here. Maybe I'll give it a chance. Wasn't down with that new debut. I forgot his name, but I mean, I won't go there. But
New
besides
debut.
that, some wrestler debuted he calls himself the Super Diva or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But
now I know what you're talking about.
But that aside, I mean, I could see differences that I'm just like, okay. I mean, that you could tell it's different, at least from the 2.0 that I saw again many months ago. And Andrew beat me to it. They're bringing back the takeover name as well. So that's, it's something that's small, well, maybe not small. It's something subtle, but it's enough to, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's enough to grab the attention of the black and gold fans like me who became seriously disinterested in the product once 2.0 hit. Now, I know I'm not probably, in fact, I'm probably not the majority of those that, excuse me, I'm not the majority of the people that like the black and gold and then kind of straight away once 2.0 hit. I'm probably more the exception to the rule. But at the same time, they recognize that there was a fan base for that black and gold that they lost to some extent. So they wanted to bring it back. And to your point, I know, and guys, you have to bear with me. I'm just getting over a cold, so I apologize if I'm constantly clearing my throat, sound hoarse, but I'm making it work. To your point, you mentioned that Vince didn't like a lot of the black and gold mentality, the indie guys. If you look at Raw and SmackDown now, how many of those guys are your major players right now that were those indie guys? I mean, you've got Rollins, you've got KO, you've got Gargano that's there now, you've got Ciampa. I mean, technically, if you wanted to go back, I mean, you could count Roman. I mean, he was there. Many people equate that, but I mean, he was there. You could go on down the list of just
basically all your tag teams. So Street Profits were NXT. Now you got Hit Row back and using them. The Viking Raiders, were NXT. I mean, I agree with you. There's a lot of the talent that is now what you would call the main roster. I mean, Karrion Kross obviously being back.
Yeah.
All of them that are kind of main roster. Even I know he was signed to the company before him, but Drew McIntyre was technically NXT.
He was.
I mean, if you want to go by definitions here, so I'm gonna love the fact that they get back to that old mold. I agree with you that the show this past week's show felt different. Now I am one of the people that have been watching NXT 2.0 from the jump as soon as it switched, and there were things about it that I actually enjoyed as well. Like I found things about it that I liked. There was things that I didn't like comparatively to the black and gold brand, but I always said I had set out to watch it as if it was a different thing, and not watch it like it's the same thing. And I'll save a couple thoughts for later on the show for another segment, but I do think it's interesting that Vince McMahon's mold and the people he was trying to push were very disinteresting and not. I would more or less say not ready, because he was trying to push people who had good builds and good looks but hadn't developed, versus pushing the people who had developed and may not be your 250 ripped Hulk Hogan build,
right?
Give or take. So absolutely love the idea, but I felt like the show just felt different during NXT. Like the cage match, the Creed brothers are phenomenal, by the way. Like just you want to talk about stars that they've developed, like that is a team that they can be proud of, because there was a spot that I believe it's not Julius. What's the other one's name? The more like tall or skinnier.
I know what you're talking about. I can't. Julius is the one I always remember too.
Julius is the one that does the cannonballs.
Yeah.
Which I love as well. But if someone can remember the other guy's name,
come on, someone in the chat, help us out.
I'm blanking on it, but he did this move where they were on the rope. So it's a cage match, but they're on the ropes, and he said, "Watch this," and the charisma alone got me, because NXT, not everybody has that. But he literally like with his feet, both of them standing on ropes, he like bounced both of them off the ropes and did a backflip. The guy from Pretty Deadly landed on the mat on his back, and he landed his backflip.
Yeah.
You know how hard that is when both of you are jumping off that rope at the same time, and to make it look as effortless as he did. I thought that match was such a great opening match. I really enjoyed it. Didn't really care for the handcuff thing. Brutus, thank you. I think Brutus is actually the bigger one then, and Julius is the skinnier. Because I think it's Brutus. So, but I didn't care for the handcuff thing with Damian Kemp. Wasn't a huge fan of that part of it, but really enjoyed it. Thought it was a great match, and I enjoyed and I guess this is a talking point too. The Solo Sequoia Carmelo Hayes match.
Oh yeah.
I am glad that they took the belts off Carmelo Hayes, and here's why.
I agree.
Him and Braun Breaker need to do like a best of 3, like the next couple takeovers. Like I need Braun Breaker versus Carmelo Hayes 3 times in a row. Like you want to talk about a feud? That is a story that writes itself. Carmelo calling himself the A champion. And basically has held the North American title throughout this entire year. Braun Breaker holding the NXT title basically throughout the whole entire year. Mr. NXT 2.0, if you will. It's kind of their bread and butter and has killed it. And so those two against each other, Braun playing the face, Carmelo playing the heel. I think it's the perfect way to, on that third match at some point in their thing, to put the belts on Carmelo and to call Braun Breaker up. I think Braun's done just about all that he can do.
You think Braun gets called up first, or could it be Carmelo that gets called up?
I like the idea of Carmelo running NXT for maybe a good year with the belts as well. Not necessarily having to carry it the whole time, but always kind of being in the picture. Kind of like Adam Cole. I really think Carmelo gives me Adam Cole type vibes where he's always going to be relevant on the brand. Doesn't necessarily have to carry the title to be relevant. So I'd like to see Carmelo kind of be the next guy up, if you will, in NXT, and get Braun Breaker. Like I said, I think he's kind of done everything that he can do there. And I'm a little confused though by the Solo Sequoia. I'm definitely interested, but a little confused because it's not often that they call somebody up and then let them still run an NXT. It's backwards because typically when they call people up from NXT, they were already holding a belt, and they would have that person drop the belt at the next takeover or in a takeover or two. We saw that with Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe. I feel like I'm missing one, but there's been a couple of them where they've kind of done that mold, if you will, of them still holding the belt, but anywho. So Solo Sequoia getting the call up to SmackDown and then coming back and winning the belt is definitely kind of backwards, but I like it because let's be real, the bloodline is only the bloodline if they all have gold. And are you really going to take the Intercontinental, the U.S. title off of Bobby Lashley or Gunther for Solo Sequoia right now? Probably not. Both of those guys are really establishing value in those mid-card titles again. They feel special again. They're going to be pay-per-view-esque titles again. And
I'd be more inclined to say that they might take it off Lashley if there wasn't this big initiative to make the championship a bigger deal.
Right.
I mean, hence the program with Lashley and Rollins. So,
I like it. I like let's put gold on him. We'll make it NXT gold for right now. And because it's still building his character up, and so it was interesting though. It definitely. I thought surely this is going to be like a really good match, but Solo Sequoia is going to lose by cheating or whatever. So it kept us on our toes. I think NXT Black and Gold is going to be something crazy. It's probably going to be, I think, even better than maybe the last time because now they know what works. And they know what they didn't like. And we see on the other side of the pond, things are kind of going crazy over there. So as people get released from their contracts or get the freedom to go, you might see some guys return back to the black and gold that really found the black and gold brand to be special get their build back up, and then they're main roster bound. I think you're muted. I don't know if you unmuted yourself.
Sorry.
There you
I was saying it's going to be an interesting next month or so with NXT to see where they go, not just, I mean, with the Solo Sikoa situation and the North American title, but just top to bottom. I mean, you can look at the women's championship and the women's tag team championship. Will any of those change hands? Because, I mean, they're very 2.0. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm sorry, name the two belts again that you were talking about.
The NXT women's belt and the women's tag team championship.
I see.
But wait a minute, Toxic Attraction are they they're not champions anymore, are they?
No, it's Katana Chance and
That's right. Okay.
What's her name? I can't remember the other girl's name. And I like them. I think, again, if you're going to make the women's tag division special, they're a great women's tag team. Neither one of them are really probably going to eclipse that. But they're a solid tag team, entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to AEW from last night. And we'll just specifically talk about the AEW Championship Tournament. We have the final set for next week at, why am I blanking on the what do they call
Grand Slam or not current
Arthur Ashe.
Arthur Ashe, yeah.
We got Mox and Danielson. I'm gonna let you go first because like I told you before we started the show, my thoughts on this are going to flow nicely into my mic drop. So I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I wanna acknowledge a post actually I saw during the countdown that Sammy Guevara kind of made what felt like a goodbye type Twitter post after that match. It had some highlighted pictures in the post, and basically it kind of said it's been a heck of a ride. Don't really know where we go from here, but wherever we go in faith. And people are kind of reading into that as a potential like he's done in AEW. I don't know. Like, I kind of feel like if he was named as one of their 4 pillars, that they would have him pretty much locked in. So I thought that was something to note. But as far as the booking of this whole tournament, I already told you I wasn't really a fan of the bye weeks, if you will, the buys in the tournament with Jericho and Moxley just getting freebies to the semifinals. I thought surely they could have had some matches just to have good matches, because that's what AEW is all about. At least that's what they say. So, and again, I got to say some of my thoughts for later on the show. But overall, with what they actually have done, I thought the Sammy Guevara Jon Moxley match was a very predictable outcome. I don't see how you could put Sammy versus Moxley and make people think that in a clean fashion, he was going to win. So I thought that was kind of mediocre booking, honestly. Not that I don't remember who Sammy fought in the first round, but not that if you would have
Darby.
So not that Darby. If you would have had Darby, it would have changed my mind. I think Moxley was going to be a shoo-in for the finals regardless.
Well, okay, so from a booking standpoint, and why not? I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. Well, I'll just say it. This is an unpopular opinion that I was going to save till later, but it fits with what we're talking about, so I'll just say it now. If I were booking this, and again, probably not the overall consensus that others would agree, I actually would have given the win to Sammy, because I think you could have a great finals with Sammy and Danielson. And
again, I got to keep my thoughts, but you're right on track with what I was thinking.
It gives Sammy a monumental win for his career. It just, it would have made that pre-match promo that that got posted on his social media, it would have made that have more meaning, I feel like. And so,
and I think
I don't know.
I'm not a fan of the Moxley Danielson match.
We've seen it already.
That they're in a faction together. We've already kind of went down the whole competitive nature between those two match. I think personally, I would have had Jericho and the Appreciation Society screw Moxley out of the win, had Sammy win. And so, again, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think Sammy versus Danielson would have made for a better high energy type match. And again, I think, and I said this last week during my mic drop, which just a heads up, guys, Alex is green lit tonight. I'm taking the back seat tonight on the mic drop. But you
had a good one last week. You guys, if you guys weren't with us last week, you should go check it out.
The fact is that if Danielson doesn't win this title, it's over. I don't know why anybody would want to watch. And I don't think it's fair to say that Moxley should have 3 title reigns, one of which was only a month long because they had to have it back on CM Punk.
Well, and here, just to further illustrate how ridiculous this is, if Moxley does win, technically, if you go by AEW's their lineage as far as how many championship reigns guys have, they already say that Moxley has 3 technically because he beat Jericho. Revolution 2020. They're counting his interim title win when he the finals where he beat Tanahashi, and then his burial of Punk, which in hindsight actually.
So they're counting the Punk win as a 3rd championship reign instead of a continuance of him being interim.
So they're counting the Tanahashi win as a 2nd, and then the Punk as a 3rd. So technically, if he wins, this will be his. They're going to call it his 4th AEW World Championship reign.
Yeah, again, I go back to I just not a fan of
Chris. Very true.
That is true.
I got it fixed though.
I'm not a fan of the idea of Moxley being a 3 or 4-time champion, however you want to word it. I think that's overdone, and honestly, his title reigns are boring. They're not exciting to watch. There's not many challengers that honestly people would be excited to even watch him have that he hasn't already had. The matches, there's not a whole lot of exciting matches to name off. So I'm of the mindset that I think Danielson has to win this. I don't know where you go from there because MJF's red hot, and I don't think you can have Danielson have a 1-month title reign or 3-month title reign, whatever you want to do with it. And at the same time, I don't think you can do that to Moxley either. You just did it to him a month ago. So I don't know. Just my thoughts. I think it's intriguing that they went that route, other than they just wanted to have a really big one-time match on a weekly episodic thing. So
yeah.
Well, mute me. Go ahead and start your mic drop. I do have to pop away for just a second, but go ahead and get them warmed up, and I am excited to hear where it goes from here.
So in continuance of what we've already been talking about, great. Cole did something to his mic, and now I'm echoed. Can you guys hear it? Check. Can you guys hear it's feeding back? Can you guys hear it on your end? Somebody in the chat, let me know if they can. Yeah, okay. We'll just do it. We'll make do with what we got. So, with AEW's booking so far, it has been super atrocious over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 months probably. And I don't know, guys. I'm okay. Let's go back to something we've already talked about. The last AEW pay-per-view, where you've got Athena, who you've built up as possibly your next AW Women's World Champion, making her look strong in this feud with Jade, and then you have her lose in 4 or 5 minutes. Now, I get the whole, they're short on time and they had to cut time off matches. That's not the match to cut time from. And yeah, Jason beat me to it. Athena should have went over in that match. Athena should have won the TNT title. But now they're putting her in the AW Women's title feud anyway. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to see it, but at the same time, how does that make sense? You've got somebody that's coming off a loss, but yeah, we're just going to throw her in the AW title feud. I was just telling everybody that I think whenever you muted your mic, I was feeding back.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just coming from your mic or your coming from your headphones. But no, I was just saying how the booking for AEW over the last 3 or 4 months has been awful. And case in point, the burial of Athena by Jade on the pay-per-view. Now, I mentioned that we understand it was cut for time, but that's not the match that you want to cut, especially whenever you've built Athena up like you have, and then she loses for a 4 or 5 minute match. But now, and I did preface by saying that I'm glad to see it. Now you're putting her in the AW World Women's Championship feud. I'm glad to see it, but it doesn't make sense from a booking standpoint because she just lost on a big pay-per-view. She just lost a big title match. Technically, if you're going, like if you're AW and you're going by these rankings and your win-loss records, that it makes zero sense. So that was, I'll say Exhibit A. Exhibit B, I'm just going to go to Dynamite last night. On paper, that match with Jungle Boy and Jay Lethal should have been a tremendous match. It wasn't. Not to mention the fact that I feel like that Jay Lethal did not Jay Lethal looked awful in defeat, and Jungle Boy did not look good with the win. Like it didn't elevate him further in any way, but it just pushed Jay Lethal down that much further in terms of how AEW is poorly using him. So part of my mic drop is AEW, shame on you. Your booking sucks. You guys need to figure this out because right now, I'll be honest. I know I said that if Athena loses at All Out, that I wouldn't watch AEW anymore. I've not watched AEW at all since then. I honestly, honest to God, I'd put my hand on a Bible. I have not watched AEW since. Well, yeah, and not just the fact that it was a title match. I mean, you built Athena up to be this, possible eventual next contender for the women's world title, but then I can understand if you had her lose a competitive match that was maybe 10 12 minutes with some near falls. If you really wanted to have Jade win, have it be like a fluke win with a roll up or something like that, then I'd be more okay with it. But just the way it happened was just atrocious. So that was A. B, shame on you, CM Punk. You want to start your time in AEW. You get your pop. You get your response. You're in Chicago. Of course, you're going to get it. And I'll be honest. At the time, I was excited to see it. It was cool to see that response. It was cool to experience that watching it on TV. But after that, I mean, that was the mountaintop. Like that was the plateau. And ever since then, despite all of the garbage that's gone on, a couple weeks ago or however long ago it was, even despite that, it's slowly been going downhill ever since. The only match he has had that I actually, I'll say remotely cared for or liked was his match with MJF. Was it a dog collar match? Is that right?
Yeah.
That was it. Any other CM Punk match I've not cared for. But he likes to come on and talk about how, I'm here to elevate the next group of guys and, make them look good. And sure, you can make guys look good in defeat, but like, you didn't make MJF look good at all, even with MJF's win, because it had to be, it wasn't clean. Like, he couldn't have just put MJF over and that been it. By the way, congrats to MJF. He's engaged. Did you see that?
I did not. But
yeah, MJF's engaged now. So, sorry guys, that was a poor applause. Do we have an applause sound effect on here?
I think it's one that I have to add for you.
I thought there was like a stock one on here. It's all right. We might have had it and I might have deleted it, but it's all good. Oh man. But that goes well into my next shame on AEW portion of your viewing pleasure right now. So yeah, shame on CM Punk for falsely saying he was going to put the next generation guys over or make them look good, however he phrased it, whatever. Shame on AEW for not making MJF look like $1 million on his return. That return was utter crap. Like, and we talked about it last week. I'm not going to go into it, but like that return should have been the return of all returns. Yeah, he got the pop in the arena. He got a bigger reaction than Punk, but even despite that, I'm watching it and I'm like, that's it? Like, that's the return? Like, that's how you're doing it? AEW needs to get better bookers. You need to learn how to book. Now, granted, I'm not a booker. I could never work for a wrestling company. So, yes, you can call me, armchair quarterback or whatever the analogy is. But well, I'm getting there. MJF's return was poorly booked. It was poorly handled. And I'm surprised that MJF even went with that. I would argue before MJF left, before he took his hiatus, he was bigger then than he is now. Because what are you doing with him right now? You're putting him with now. Don't get me wrong. If it was just him and Stokely, I'd be okay with it. But putting him with this group called the Firm, like, what crap is this? Like, you've got Morrissey and the Gun Brothers and what's his face? I don't even know his name. Moriarty. And you got Ethan Page, who deserves better than this, by the way. Ethan Page deserves way better than this. I'd actually be okay with it. If it were MJF, Ethan Page, and Stokely Hathaway, if it was just those three, I'd even be okay with that. Am I missing somebody from that group, or is that everybody?
W. Morrissey.
I got. He was the first one I said.
Okay.
I think it's everybody.
You got everybody then.
But like AEW, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like MJF, and look, I'll go on record as to say that I was okay with the Pinnacle, but MJF does not need a faction. He does not need a faction at all. By the way, if you guys aren't on our Discord, you need to join that. If you're interested, let me know. I can actually post a link on this. I'll do that right now. I'll post a link on this chat thread. And if you're interested, join this Discord. But I posted something on there that it was basically saying what the group name would be if you combined the Gun Brothers with Morrissey. I saw it online and I had to share it. I just thought it's too good not to share. But anyway, there's our Discord link, guys. If you're interested, feel free to join it. I mean, it's free, it doesn't cost you anything. That's where we have a lot of our chats and stuff. But if you're interested, there's your little teaser.
And just to clear up questions and whatnot in the chat, we are still a family-friendly PG show, if you will. So we prefer that you do not use their crowd-chanted name, if you will. They are the Guns. That's how we will refer to them.
However, I will say that little jingle that band that Danhausen is friends with.
That was fun.
Anyway, okay, so back to my rant. No, you're good, guys. It's all good. So there's that. I will also say, shame on you, Tony Khan. Now, I was going to say for two reasons, for multiple reasons. A, at this point, you just need to step back behind the scenes. Don't even go out on these media scrums. Like, just don't talk. Please. Please just don't talk. Chris beat me to it earlier. Basically, and I'm going to bring his comment back up. Part of the issue with CM Punk is that Tony Khan is I mean, Chris nailed it on the head. He is such a fanboy of Punk that he has made Punk a bigger deal than he really is.
Facts.
The fact of the matter is, if you talk to a lot of other guys in the wrestling business, I know that BG James or Brian James, whatever he goes by now, Road Dogg, essentially, he's got a podcast. He talked about how Punk was never nice behind the scenes, like never respectful, but yet he gets on to Hangman Adam Page because Adam Page says, makes a comment about, I don't, I can figure out things on my own. I don't take advice well or something like, however he phrased it. I am convinced that Hangman Page purposefully made that statement, whether he meant it or not, because he knew it would get back to CM Punk and he knew it would it would ruffle feathers. So, and that's just my opinion. I've not read that online anywhere. I don't know if Hangman Page really doesn't take advice from, the older generation of wrestlers, but I'm pretty convinced that he purposefully publicly made that statement so it would get back to CM Punk just to tick him off, basically. So, anyway, back to Tony Khan. Shame on you for making CM Punk bigger than what he really is and what he ever should have been in AEW. Secondly, and I'm going to kind of jump the gun a little bit as far as I'm not going to go into detail, but I'll mention more in our promotional segment. Because of Tony Khan, Warrior Wrestling can no longer put on the match with Lucha Brothers and the Briscoes. Did you see that?
Wow. No,
yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, Warrior Wrestling basically posted something along the lines of, after consulting with AEW, we'll still have Lucha Bros and Briscoes on the card, but they'll be competing in separate matches, no longer against each other.
That is dumb.
Like, if you're really wanting that dream card, that dream match on one of your cards, you should have done it already. Like,
sheesh.
Like, if you're going to be that petty and not allow an independent promotion that has, I mean, the one we went to maybe had a couple thousand, not even 1,500 maybe.
I mean, it is technically televised, if you will, so you can watch the match.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
I get it.
Whatever. I'm just, you know what? Tony Khan, you suck. Like, just
facts.
Like, just stay behind the curtain, stay behind the desk, just close your mouth, stay off camera. Yeah, I mean, well, technically it's his dad that owns it, but
I had to put it up.
No, I got you. So I think that's everything. So
I think you nailed it on the head.
Now they got that out of the way. we're going to jump to some unpopular opinions. Now, I already shared one with you. So let's start off with this. PWI 500 just released their top 500 wrestlers for 2022. Now, for context, it is from June of 2021 to June of 2022. So you can't just say it's all of 2022 because we're not through 2022 yet. So before I go too far, Cole has not seen the list. He didn't even know this was released at all until I told him right before we went live. So
it's been a week. I've been busy.
His reaction is going to be a live reaction as far as telling him, I'm just going to go through the top 20.
Oh.
Okay.
From the 20th spot.
From the 20th spot up.
Okay. I don't know if I can handle this.
I'll go from 25 up.
Okay.
Okay.
Or down, you mean down.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Well, it's up on my phone. Anyway.
Oh, gotcha. You may get another mic drop segment. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Number 25. I assume it's AC Mack. Is that Willie Mack?
I don't even know. I mean,
I've never heard of AC Mack, but he got number 25.
AC. I mean, you would think that'd have to be the Mac, but I don't know if he would even be in my top 50.
No, that is not Willie Mack. He is the current independent wrestling world champion in his first reign.
I don't know how.
I've never heard of him.
Not 25. I mean, he could probably be on the list somewhere, but 20. I mean, you would think the top 100 would be AEW, Impact, NWA, WWE.
Well, let's put it this way. For context, I'm going to go into the hundreds real quick. Number 126, Sheamus.
Oh, get out of here. I don't even know if I want to hear this list.
Number 134, Happy Corbin. Let's see. I mean, granted, okay, number 150, Miz.
This is
okay, so I'm gonna go back up.
Okay.
25, AC Mack. 24, it just says Alexander. I assume that's Josh out. No, that's not Josh Alexander because he's further up. It just says Alexander. I don't know who that is. Number 24, it just says Alexander.
How could you put people
probably Hammerstone. It's probably okay. Because it's just such
I understand. Name. I can understand Hammerstone.
Yeah.
That one, I don't understand the 25th, but I can understand Hammerstone. I don't know if I could put him in my top 25, but.
Yeah, okay. 23, Jay White.
Okay.
22, Chris Jericho. 21, Moose.
Okay.
Number 20, Drew McIntyre.
That's pathetic.
19, Kenny Omega.
I can kind of understand.
I think that's appropriately placed. I mean,
because of the injury, I can understand that.
Yeah. 18, Adam Cole. Here's where it gets ridiculous. This man should have been in at least the top 10, maybe even the top 5, but he's number 17, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I mean, other than if you're going to count losses, he's the most relevant loser for the entire year of 2021/2022.
But still, all of his matches are
agreed.
Anyway, 16, MJF. 15, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
I don't know.
14, Josh Alexander.
Okay, I think he should be top 10, but
13. This man got number 13. Matt Cardona.
Wow. No, he's a top 5 candidate. I don't even care if his matches are amazing.
Are you serious? You put him top 5?
Based off what he did, yeah, for sure. For sure. Based off of the impact he had on wrestling from the time that he got released to now, he's been the most relevant person in almost every independent company. I think I could definitely top 10. I don't know if I can make an argument for top 5.
Okay. 12, John Moxley. 11, Shingo Takagi.
Okay.
10, Jonathan Gresham.
10 for Jonathan Gresham?
Yeah.
ROH was out of business like half the year.
9, Big E.
He's been hurt.
I know.
For probably half the year.
8, El Hijo del Vikingo.
AAA, I'm assuming.
Yeah. 7, Bryan Danielson.
Okay.
6, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
5, Lashley.
Okay.
4, Adam Page.
I don't know about that.
3, CM Punk.
No.
2, Okada.
Mm.
Now, one, I mentioned this before we went on. One we can all probably agree with.
It's Roman Reigns, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back to some noted ones here. So
Well, don't forget, we're on unpopular opinions at this point. So one thing I want to get out real quick is I saw an uproar online about how, John Moxley didn't get in the top 5 or didn't get in the top 10. Like I don't even want to talk about it. Like, how's that even a thing? He wouldn't have made my top 20.
At the back end of it, for sure. I mean,
I could probably find 20 other guys that had a better June to June than he did.
You and I would have to agree that they're probably ranking theirs based off of title matches or title reigns as well, not just having an entertaining or a good year based off of storylines and matches, right? Because I think you and I, we based our list off of what kind of storylines and matches and relevancy did you have, not just title reigns. Because
AJ Styles, number 74.
Yeah, because I think Styles should be in the top 25. Because again, so I always think about when these kind of ranking systems come, I always think about guys who can stay relevant without a title.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to know about the guys. That's why I think Seth Rollins would have to be in my top 10 for sure. I think I could safely say my top 5 would have to be people that held titles. I think that's fair. So Roman Reigns clearly number 1. I don't know why anybody could argue that unless they just hate WWE or Roman Reigns in particular. Number 2 was Okada, you said?
Yeah.
I don't watch enough New Japan, but I always feel like they make it a goal to put a New Japan guy in the top 5. Like, I don't even know. That's just me. I've never been. Chris, I was getting ready to ask that question too. Where is Brock Lesnar ranked on this list?
I'm looking.
Because if he's not in the top 100, they're tripping.
He didn't make the list.
Oh, they're sick. Okay. So they're considering him not even really a full-timer, maybe.
I guess
now,
not, but still.
I guess you could argue for the entire year he wasn't present, though. I mean, I guess you could say that about some of the people that have injuries, too. But,
yeah, I mean, what's the difference?
Will Ospreay's not in the top 25.
Will Ospreay was number 27.
All right, so let's work our way back on a few of these. So I agree with Roman. Number 2, I don't know how I feel about Okada being number 2.
I don't know enough about New Japan to say for sure, but I know that he had a lot of good matches. So I mean, I don't have a problem with him having a spot in the top 5, top 10.
I don't know. Sure. I don't know about 2. That's where I'm at.
Oh, Bruce, you must have missed it. Sheamus was number 126. 126.
Number 3. Remy number 3.
CM Punk.
I think CM Punk, you could probably put him in the top 20 based off of the fact that he was a crowd, that he drew crowds.
Yeah, no arguments from me. He shouldn't even be in the top 10, much less top 5.
I don't think he should be in the top 5 or 10. I think I could put him somewhere between 15 and 20, just based off of the fact that he did wrestle and have, pay-per-view matches that people bought. Number 4.
Hangman Adam Page.
See, I don't know. Other than the fact that he held a title, it was the driest title reign probably of the year in any company, as far as the main titles go. I much rather would have watched Josh Alexander with the Impact Championship than Adam Hangman Page fight another Texas Death Match.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe top 10 for Hangman Page, but I don't think he's top 5. Number 5 was
Lashley.
I think Lashley I could actually put up higher. He had a good, against Roman Reigns in the same company, he had a good title reign, good storylines, always relevant. Him and MVP together was cool. I think I could actually move him up a slot or 2 to probably 3.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it. I like where Lashley's at.
Number 6 was
Cody Rhodes.
I like 6 for Rhodes.
I do too.
7.
Danielson.
See, Danielson. I kind of like where he's at, actually. He didn't really do anything like phenomenal in the year, but was
He didn't
relevant.
hold any championships, but I mean, he always put on great matches.
I like 7 for him. What's number 8?
I probably would have put him higher. That El Hijo del Vikingo.
See, I don't know if a AAA guy could make my top 10.
Nobody.
They're not relevant enough for me.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody outside of New Japan guys would make my top 10. My entire top 10 would be either, it'd be from an American wrestling company. It'd be WWE, AEW, NXT, NWA, Ring of Honor, Impact.
It is crazy that you didn't name a single NXT guy. Like Braun Breaker literally held the title for the entire year.
He was 26. He was right outside the top 25.
That's a joke. Carmelo Hayes as well.
Carmelo Hayes, I gotta go way down for him.
This is only men. This is only male wrestlers.
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
These are just male wrestlers. Carmelo Hayes. I'm still scrolling.
The fact that Brock Lesnar didn't even make the list is kind of telling as well, because he was relevant all year long, held the title. He probably would have made my top 10. For time's sake,
I missed it. Carmelo Hayes, number 77.
Oh, I mean, I still think he should be high. He held the belt.
Nick Gage. This one was like, really? Oh, never mind. I had a brain lapse. No, Nick Gage was 112. I thought he was higher than that. I was thinking of Nick Aldis for some reason.
So we said number 8. What was what was number 9?
Hold on a second. I was gonna look up Shinsuke for Shinsuke 46. Okay.
Okay. Number 9.
Let's see. Number 9, Big E.
See, I think Big E, I don't know if I could put him in my top 25, other than the fact, I guess technically within that time span, he was champion and Money in the Bank winner. Right? I'm trying to think through the timeline. Yeah. So, but the title run was dry. He might make my top 20, but I don't think you can put him top 10 just because he had a belt.
He would have made my top 20, but definitely not my top 10.
He was hurt for some of it.
Yeah.
It was a dry run. All right, so number 10.
Jonathan Gresham. I think we both agree he wouldn't have made my top 30.
I could say top 50, and that's because he had the ROH title win. But ROH was out of business like majority of that time span.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to kind of rapid fire some of these names. 11, you can stop me whenever you want. 11, Shingo Takagi. 12, Jon Moxley. 13.
I'm going to stop you at Jon Moxley. What did Jon Moxley do that was
exactly
top 12? I mean, I don't know if I could put Moxley, other than name value, I don't know if I could put him in my top.
Online, people were freaking out that he didn't make the top 5, much less the top 10. And I'm like, he wouldn't have made my top 20.
I think I could put him right outside of 20 just because he's got name value.
He would have been right outside of it, but just, yeah, exactly.
Keep going. So that was 12, 13.
Let's see. 13, Matt Cardona.
I still think Cardona has to be higher.
I disagree. I would have put him lower.
I could have put him at 10, honestly, just because he was the most. You want to talk relevancy? He was the most relevant thing outside of a major promotion. He's relevant in 3 different other companies at the same time.
Let's see. 14, Josh Alexander.
I like that one.
15, Hiroshi Tanahashi. 16, MJF should have been higher.
Yeah, probably. I put him at 12, probably. Right on.
Yeah, I don't know if he would have made my top 10, but he should have been higher than 16. Yeah. 17, Seth Rollins. He would have been in my top 10 for sure, maybe even top 5.
Yeah.
Let's see. 18, Adam Cole. 19, Kenny Omega. 20, Drew McIntyre.
See, I could move McIntyre and Cole up the list from the standpoint of Cole had a lot of great matches in that span. I mean, in that span, he would have been in WWE still for some of it, right? Because he didn't debut until I'm trying to remember his debut for AEW. Has it been a full year for him?
Yeah, he debuted it All Out last year.
Okay, so So he's had a lot of great matches in AEW, relevant, big contender on their show. So I think I could have moved him up. But Drew McIntyre, it's got to. I mean, I know he wasn't in the title picture for most of that time span, but still relevant on TV. A big crowd pleaser. If you're gonna put Mox at 12, you got to put
Yeah,
Drew
no kidding.
at like 11 or 13, like right around that same area. So
Yeah,
keep going.
21 Moose, 22 Jericho.
How did Jericho make a top 25?
I don't know. 23 Jay White, and then 24. I assume it's Hammerstone, MLW, and then 25 AC Mac. Never heard of him. Don't know who he is.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say I have an issue with independent guys in some of these like AAA or even some of the New Japan guys. I don't know how some of the more major company guys didn't make the list higher, other than intentionality too.
No, okay, I'm sorry. Correction. There are women on this list because Trish Adora is number 50.
So where do your WWE women like Bianca Belair?
Let me see.
They usually do them separate, so that's why I was asking.
Okay, I'm really confused because Bianca's not on here.
I'm wondering if that's one of those like gender type issues.
I don't know.
But either way, we don't have to camp on this any longer. But I am shocked the amount of this is no dig at New Japan or any of those guys, but I don't know how some of these AEW WWE guys that are way down the list didn't make it in the top 25 where some of the lower company guys did.
Yeah, I'm just when that list came out, I was just, I mean, really, like seriously, like you couldn't come up.
I'm intrigued now. I'm gonna go look at the whole list and
you'll see some other doozies in there. Like there's another one that I found in here that was like, now granted, you're gonna have a lot of your tag team guys that are further down because they're not primarily singles wrestlers, but like Jeff Hardy 160, Ethan Page 167.
Now they haven't used him though, so I can't get mad at that. I mean, if you're not fighting good matches or getting matches, I mean.
Oh, this is funny. 171 Max Caster, 172 W Morrissey, 173 Sting.
He's had 10 matches, 11 maybe.
It gets better. 174 Rey Mysterio,
who's held down. He's been one of the most consistent wrestlers in WWE for the entire year.
It gets better. It gets better. Ready for this one? 180 Matt Hardy.
What?
Jeff Hardy gets ranked higher than Matt Hardy
for wrestling 10 times less matches.
Yeah. 185 John Hennigan / insert whatever name. 190.
That one kind of makes sense.
193 Sean Spears.
What? The guy hasn't been on TV for a majority of the year.
Yeah. 204 Luchasaurus.
Okay, I got to know, where are the FTR guys ranked?
I know one of them was like in the upper hundreds. Dax was 101. And let's see.
Now, Dax has wrestled some good one-on-one matches.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense.
The list I show, he's not on here, but I saw online where they inadvertently left him off and he was like 113 or something like that.
For cash?
Yeah. But anyway. Yeah,
you got me intrigued.
I'll let you take a look at that and you can maybe give us your thoughts next week. But maybe next week we can prepare what our top.
Yeah, we did that last time. Let's make our top 20. Let's not do 25.
20? Okay.
Let's do our top 20.
Okay. But we're still on unpopular opinions. You got one?
Yeah, I'll give you one, and then we can kind of move on for time's sake. I am actually going to be of the minority, and it's not for the reasons that you guys think, that I don't think MJF should win the title. Um, I would have felt differently if the outcome of things were different in AEW with how things played out. I would not have MJF win the title right now, basically because some of the things you said during your mic drop. One, you made his whole return feels cheap. It feels less than, mainly because of the stuff that was out of his control, which is the owner of the company and the fanboy in him let this guy have a hot mic and say whatever he wants to say and basically break all the walls of the storyline down. Um, you know, after scrum fights and everything else. I think to restore order, you have to let Bryan Danielson win this belt, and you have to allow him to be champion for a good minute. It sucks because, again, had things played out the way that they should have, and CM Punk not one get hurt, but two not make a complete fool of himself in a scrum and all the things that they did that weekend. I would have said, yeah, have MJF beat CM Punk. That's great. I'm with you. That's the best thing for business. I think the best thing for MJF is to have a great long feud with Bryan Danielson. So, again, cash in the chip. However, you got to write the story to where MJF doesn't win it, but looked good in the match, looked strong. And have Danielson, because pay-per-views are so far and few between compared to WWE, you stretch that story out a little bit longer, have Danielson fight and defend the belt on some good Dynamite matches and stuff, and maybe at Revolution. I think that's a good time span to have Danielson hold the belt from now and from next week until Revolution. I think that's a good enough window to kind of restore order in AEW, build up for a high quality type match. Now, the other thing is that if they hold on to MJF cashing in that chip until Revolution, then by all means let him win it. But you can't have Mox or Danielson win this belt next week and then drop it 2 weeks later at a Dynamite, special show.
Well, the only explanation I would have that they would ever even consider giving Mox the championship again is if he drops it within a few weeks, which would be absolutely pointless. Like, I agree at this point.
But it's bad. It's bad for Mox to have him lose to CM Punk and only hold the title for a month. Come back, get in the tournament, get hot shotted straight back to the title to let him win it just to have him lose it again. I just think it's
AEW we're talking about.
True. They've backed themselves into corners several times, and I've told you this, that I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of great matches, but I'm a bigger fan of great storylines and great builds. And when you do things like putting Miro and Bryan Danielson in a tournament against each other where neither one of them can really can handle taking a loss right now, that's bad booking.
Agreed.
You're booking yourself into a corner. And I think they've done that to themselves again in the midst of trying to book high-quality, entertaining matches last minute, because this obviously was not the plan. I think they've booked themselves back into a corner, and we have a fantasy bookers segment later on in the show that I'll go into more detail. But long story short, I'm probably in the vast minority that's going to say if they're going to have MJF cash in his chip within the next few weeks, next month, that I don't think he should win it, regardless if it's Moxley or Danielson. I don't think he should win it. I think it's bad to have either one of those guys take a loss after winning the title that quickly.
I 100% agree.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Guys, I want to remind you that you can check out the Going Broadway podcast. We are live as of right now every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We actually posted all of our social media platforms at the bottom of this video stream in the description. So you can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and thanks to Cole, Instagram now as well. We are periodically scrolling across the bottom of your screen various links that you can check out as well that are our social media platforms. But again, if you want quick access to them, the links are below the video stream, below the video in the description. Below the video description also has a way that you can support us financially if you would be so kind and generous to do so. Our Patreon link is there. We're still restructuring some of the tiers. I did add some perks to our tiers, particularly our gold and platinum tiers. So if you are a gold or platinum tier patron, excuse me, I got something in my eye. You can actually join Cole and I on a podcast. So if you're a gold tier member, you get to join us once a year. If you're a platinum tier member, you get to join us twice a year. Sorry, guys. But that is only for a January to December timeframe. So, they are use it or lose it. And if you want to join Cole and I on a podcast and you're a gold or platinum tier member, you got to let us know between now and December 31st. Otherwise, again, it's use it or lose it. And there are certain requirements that we would discuss with you ahead of time if you're going to join us. Again, one of the most important things is no foul language. If that becomes an issue, we immediately kick you off the stream. Hopefully that wouldn't become an issue. But again, you can check us out on Patreon. You can check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store as well. And I thought I had it here handy. Where is it at? There it is. ProWrestlingTees.com/GoingBrdwyPodcast. You can check out our shirts there. It's another way to financially support the show. If you would ever consider any donations, our PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App are included in the video description below as well. You can also participate in our belt raffles. There is one currently live on our Facebook page, so you can check that out if you'd like. You can send payment through PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, whichever you'd prefer. It is $15 a spot. The winner gets to pick any belt to have made within a 30 to 35 day turnaround time, which is insanely unheard of given the quality of the belts that are produced. I do want to mention this as well. We are proud once again to partner with Warrior Wrestling for their upcoming 25 event. Now, unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm actually going to try to get this off the screen. There we go. We no longer have the dream match of Lucha Bros against Briscoe Brothers, but still going to be a good card nonetheless. The Warrior Wrestling title match is going to be Casey Navarro defending against Trey Miguel. Once again, the Lucha Brothers will be in action against Brian Cage and Gringo. Briscoe Brothers are facing the Rascals. That'll be an insane match. And another match that was added, Eddie Kingston against Calvin Tankman of MLW. I feel like that's going to be another chop fest, kind of like we saw with Kingston and Ishii on the pay-per-view. And I know you just love those chop matches.
And it's not a chop match that's the problem. It's when they look like two people's dads that came out of the crowd arguing over who gets the $6 beer that was last in the cart. I do want to tag in real quick.
Go for it.
Just remind you guys that we are now a crowd-funded only show. So all of those different avenues that Alex just spoke of, everything goes directly into the show. None of it goes into our pockets. So subscribing on Twitch, joining our Patreon, and supporting us there. Belt raffles, donations through the Cash Apps, and all that stuff. All that stuff goes to bettering the podcast and to bringing on future guests. Anything that you can think of, guys. All this stuff costs money, and we enjoy doing it. And so a lot of you have been great, and you've already signed up for Patreon or have done different things like belt raffles and things like that. So we truly appreciate you. But if you haven't, or you would like to consider supporting in a bigger way, all of those options are great, and we sincerely appreciate it. I will let you guys know one of the big things that we actually are going to be in need of is a bigger streaming source, if you will, a component, whether it's a gaming PC or something to stream, because sometimes we get a little choppy, we lose connections. There's a lot of things running on that. So that's a bigger purchase that's going to have to come up in the near future. So any and everything that you guys give or support with all goes back to help making the Going Broadway podcast to be continuing the greatest wrestling podcast ever. So we really appreciate those that have already done that, and for those who are considering. So thank you guys.
Indeed, and agreed. You mentioned guests. We do have a guest joining us actually next week.
Woohoo!
Charlie Haas will be joining us again next week, Thursday, September 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So that'll be a very fun conversation. I actually have a lot of questions to ask him.
Same.
What's that?
I said same.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of my questions are going to be geared towards his various impressions.
Yes. Yes.
No, I got some serious questions too, but no, that'll be a fun conversation. Actually, the first guest we've had on in quite a while. We initially had a few guests lined up, and just because of various reasons, none of them ended up working out. But like Cole said, guys, we're still working on almost a daily basis to reach out to prominent individuals in the wrestling world and wrestling community at large. So to be determined, we'll have more people on.
We're working on getting AC Mack on the show. Top 25 PWI. I get a little response out of you.
No, not hardly. But anyway, moving on. This is a segment I've actually been really looking forward to. So you came up with 3 different ideas in terms of a fantasy booker scenario. So why don't you pick one of the 3? We'll start there and see how long we go. Because again, we're trying to keep these podcasts roughly hour and a half, and we're already at an hour and 15. So
I had to go back to my text thread because I kind of forgot some of them. Well, let's go to the elephant in the room. We've already, both of us, kind of hinted at some of this. So let's just start with the first one I sent you, with booking AEW kind of going forward, just in general, over these next few months. Because I think if they want to get back on track, these next few months are going to be crucial. Like, it's not like they just kind of have boring booking. Like, no, you have some messed up stuff going on.
Yeah, it's not just boring. I mean, it is. I mean, like, really, who books this crap? Like, it has gotten to that point.
So you said to kick it off. So for me, off jump, I would need to kind of backtrack or correct some things. Okay. Number one, the tournament itself to crown a new champion. Again, I told you I'm not a fan of the buys. The buys, it really makes me frustrated to know that AEW prides themselves on better wrestling, more focus on wrestling, and yet we couldn't find time to fit in 2 other matches. I think that we missed the mark there. So for me, I would have added 2 guys to this tournament, one of them being Jungle Boy. I think as soon as Christian Cage got hurt, you should have swerved Jack Perry, Jungle Boy into this storyline immediately, like no ifs, ands, or buts.
I'm gonna add to that too. I would have actually given, like, if you still want to have the match, have Jungle Boy do a roll up and have him get the win in like a quick 10-second deal.
For sure.
Like they even did a 10-second match wrong.
Like, I agree with you. I think even without this fancy booking, Jungle Boy should have got the win because Jericho's going to be out for a while, and it fuels the storyline better because Jericho was the one that was jealous that Jungle Boy messed up his opportunities. So, but I don't really care who the other name is in the tournament. I just think that there should have been other names. So, again, you want to have a good match and continue a feud, do Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus as a first-round match to get into the tournament. Whatever you got to do, I don't really care. Like I said, there's other names. Samoa Joe, we could have thrown in there. Brian Cage, like there's guys they're not using that could put on great matches. So that's where I would have headed. Now, as far as my fantasy booking goes, what I would do is I would have you're already doing Moxley versus Danielson. I figured that was going to happen. I would have Danielson win the belt, and I would have him have a good, strong title run from now until February to at least Revolution. Revolution seems like the best place to do it. But I would have Danielson almost defending the belt on a weekly basis and just having banger after banger match. Jungle Boy, Jay Lethal. Like I said, you could do guys like Brian Cage, Buddy Murphy, or Buddy Matthews, as you would say it there, Tony Nese. Just start feeding guys to Danielson. You can even do Swerve or Keith Lee or any of the guys that are on the roster, but just have him week after week run through in great match form, run through the roster of all the talent that they have. And all the while you have MJF in the background with that shit that's just like, not yet. I'm going to do it when I'm ready. And continuing to build that build, if you will, to win. Not if he's going to be champion, but win. Like, really doing that. I'm not against Ospreay coming back for a week, but I don't see them doing that. So I know in this case I'm fantasy booking, and that'd be great if they could bring him back. But I think at this point, I don't think I would include him. I think they got to focus on who's actually in their talent pool. And so I would book it strong. For the main title there, I would book it strong with Danielson as champion until Revolution. Build up MJF, and then have MJF win it. If you got to use, I'm sorry, the Firm is a stupid faction in general. Just the people that are in it are dumb. They don't make any sense together. The name's dumb. I don't think Stokely and MJF need to be together. MJF does not need a mic guy at all. Ethan Page doesn't need a mic guy at all. I kind of like Stokely with just W. Morrissey. Big guy, strong guy. Morrissey's not very good on the mic, in my opinion. But regardless, that's how I would do that. Women's picture, I think it's an atrocity that you have Athena lose to Jade and then automatically going to throw her into the title picture with Toni Storm, knowing good and well that Toni Storm's not about to drop this belt anytime soon. They don't hotshot their titles typically like that. So,
by the way, from a booking standpoint, like, you make such a big deal about having Toni Storm win the interim women's championship, but then you have her apparently take the pin in the tag match.
Yeah.
What's that about? Like, I don't know. I've already explained my displeasure enough with AW booking. So
I would have continued the storyline between Athena and Jade and had Athena actually win the TBS title, whether that's at Full Gear coming up or the next pay-per-view. Actually have them have a real match and have Athena get the win this time and let Athena be the TBS championship for a good while, because she does not need to be anywhere near Toni Storm. If you wanted Athena in the main title picture, she should have been the one to become the interim champion. I don't think that it makes sense to hotshot her towards Toni. So I would have done that with Athena. At this point, Toni's champion. I don't think you should change that. I don't think you should switch it. I think you got it wrong, but there's nothing I can do at that point. So from this point on, run Toni strong. I think you got to get the TNT title off Wardlow, though.
I agree with that.
It's boring. It's dry. It's kind of the same old match at this point. And so I would have Wardlow lose, but keep him safe. Like cheating, however you got to do it. But I would put it on somebody who could get like a really, really good build, really good push out of it. Whether that's a Brian Cage or just somebody that needs the title right now, somebody that the title is going to help actually elevate them a little bit more. So not really picky on who it's got to be at this point in time. I would even, if you're going to push the Sperm stable, I would even be okay with putting it on Ethan Page at this point. Get it on. I know they said All Atlantic for him. If it's W. Morrissey, whoever you got to put it on, just let's get it off Wardlow and let's find something else to do with Wardlow, because the title thing, he's dry.
I feel like Wardlow didn't even need it in the first place. I mean, it felt reminiscent of, for those of you guys that are old school wrestling fans or old school ish, if you remember whenever they had Goldberg win the US title in WCW over Raven, like that didn't need to happen. Like it was pointless. I mean, it looked good whenever he then beat Hogan for the world title, and then he was able to, hold up the two belts in the ring. Like that part of it was cool, but you're not going to have Wardlow win the AEW world title. It's not going to happen. And even if you did that, again, it would feel reminiscent of what they did with Goldberg. So,
and some of you guys are asking names. Jungle Boy actually would be a good one to put the TNT title on at this point. There are names in their company that they're not using very well, that I just think deserve that push. But regardless, I digress on that. The tag belts, as far as the tag team championship goes, I'm not a fan of Swerve and Keith Lee together. In fact, those are both names that I could throw into that TNT title picture that would be okay with either one of them being the TNT championship. The other one going after the All Atlantic, I'm okay with Pac being the All Atlantic champion. That's cool, whatever for the time being. I don't understand why, not a diss, but I don't understand why guys like Orange Cassidy are getting put in title matches and in feuds, but then you got all these other talented guys with more serious gimmicks that are just being underutilized and put in factions and tag teams that are just unnecessary. And so I would get the belts off of them. I would probably do it with the Acclaimed this next week if I were them, because the Acclaimed are over. They're popping. And when are you going to get a team like that over? They tried to do that with Private Party. They failed. They've tried to do that with other tag teams, and they failed, and they failed, and they failed. You have a team that you got over. Let's capitalize on that. And then I'm not a big fan of the trio titles being on Pac and the Lucha Bros. I think they missed it. I would have that be a quick turnaround title change right off the bat, and I'd put it on a team that it makes sense, whether that be Orange Cassidy and Best Friends, or I would have said House of Black until Malachi was gone. But finding a trio that makes sense, that's a little bit more established. So I think they gotta get safe, a little bit more safer in their booking, and put on good matches without having to be super predictable though. Let's get some good guys. Bet on the guys that you said you were going to bet on. I think that's the good way for me to kind of put a bow on it, is that the people you've signed that were supposed to be big signings for you, put the chips all in on them. The guys that started this company out with you that you said were going to be the future, go all in on them. But let's not make stupid decisions and bad booking or predictable booking.
Yeah. I hear you. And honestly, I'm not even going to try to fantasy book because A, we're getting short on time, but B, I actually agreed with a lot of what you said. I just feel like a lot of the championships are not on the right people right now. You've got storylines right now that don't need to be happening. Again, case in point, this stable or this group that MJF's with, the group shouldn't even be a thing, period. It's tough to talk about, much less watch at this point. So, but now it's time for a fun part of the show.
Just when they think they got the answers, I change the questions.
So, guys, this is where you can submit your questions live. We also have some that were submitted ahead of time, and we always give preference to the ones that are submitted ahead of time first. So let's go to those, if I can find them. I'm trying to talk slow so I can find it. Let's see. Our buddy Lumpy 9453. What do you guys think of the idea to get one of the titles off Roman? So basically, he's asking, keep one of the championships on Roman, then put the other belt on somebody else. So you're back to two champions.
Which is clear that that's a long term what they're going to want to do.
Yeah.
See, I'm kind of torn on this question, mainly because I would say you use the Money in the Bank to do that, although I don't think it should be Austin Theory. And I'm not always a huge proponent. They already kind of did that last year with Otis winning and then having him lose the briefcase to The Miz. But I don't think you can have Theory be a guy that takes a belt by any means off somebody. But I would say that the way you could do it is that the Money in the Bank contract is for one title, not two. And you could say that he has a pick of a championship of his choosing, not championships. And so far, the cash-in hasn't gotten far enough along when he's tried to do it for them to even explain that when the time comes that he would have to pick one or whatever. So it could be a cool swerve. But again, I don't think Austin Theory is the guy that you can do that with believably. So I think you'd have to give the contract to somebody else, which is kind of year after year booking. I'm not a big fan of that,
Yeah.
but that's a way you could do that.
See, this is what I said. I said have a triple threat or fatal four-way or whatever to where Roman's not even factored into the pinfall, the decision, whatever.
But so basically what we're saying is that the storyline would have to be written, though, where Roman doesn't put both belts up. He says, you're not worthy of both belts. I'll put the Raw belts up. And that's against like Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins or, something like that. And one of them gets the win without Roman getting pinned, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I'm not opposed to that. I think that if you want it to be interesting storytelling, it needs to be outside of the box, which is why I think the Money in the Bank thing could be I think is the best option. I just don't like Theory as that option. The other thing could be running a better and more prolonged Adam Pearce storyline of Adam Pearce saying, Roman kind of coming out and just saying, I'm not defending my belt anymore. Beating everybody, there's nobody left, yada, yada, yada. And, just saying, why defend it? And he said, yeah. I'm not defending both these belts. And then having Adam Pearce kind of be the bad guy of, okay, you don't want to defend both your belts, that's fine, but you're going to defend this title, which I think he should hold the Universal even longer. So I like the idea of him having to put the Raw title up by itself. Wouldn't mind, insert Kevin Owens, because I think that's an intriguing storyline since technically all his matches were non-clean wins for Roman.
Yeah.
So Roman could kind of play I'm kind of intimidated card, but playing tough by saying, I'm not going to put both titles up against you. I'll put one, and doing it that way. So obviously they're going to have to do it. I don't know if it makes sense to do it before. I know it's so far away, but to do it before WrestleMania. I mean, WrestleMania is going to be 2 nights, so you could always have Roman defend both nights.
Yeah, I mean,
but
yes, you could. But I mean, ultimately, I agree.
Royal Rumble.
I agree with Thomas. I think they're just waiting on Cody to come back.
I guess you could wait till January. I mean, January is not so far off to where you could build it for Mania to happen. Where you say the Royal Rumble winner, it's supposed to be they get to pick the champion of their choosing. Where if Roman's holding both of them, he can only pick Roman, but you could run it where he can only pick one of the belts. So that's an interesting take too, is that you could have Cody win the Rumble and Cody challenges for the Raw belt, wins that, and then Roman defends his Universal against The Rock or whoever else it's going to be at Mania on night 2 and retain. So
yeah. All right, guys, we got time for one more question, and we're gonna have to wrap it up. David Tilley asks, do you find it to be a shame that one of the greatest tag teams of all time, the Motor City Machine Guns, made their AEW debut and no one cared? I think that's a great question.
I think the reason why no one cared, though, is because of how they got booked. I mean,
exactly.
First off,
that's the whole point.
I didn't watch, this. I didn't really watch any AEW leading up to All Out.
Right.
Were the Motor City Machine Guns even on television?
Yep. At least they made a Dynamite or Rampage at least once.
And that was it.
At least they might have been on more, but again, I wasn't watching a ton of AEW leading up to it, just because that also was the time period where I had a lot going on schedule wise and vacation and job change and all that stuff. So
I mean, the proper way to book them would be to have them have some banger matches on Dynamite a couple weeks leading up to All Out, like back-to-back weeks.
Should have done, but they missed.
Whether that's them versus and like the fun matches where them versus Lucha Bros and them versus FTR, Best Friends, like kind of setting it up where it's just the 2-on-2 matches, and then if you want to do a 6-man, cool. But I kind of felt like their debut was lackluster because it wasn't them. It was them plus one. And that's not how they should have really been booked. And I really hope that they make it up to them. by having them come
I
out
agree.
and have a ROH tag match against FTR at the next ROH pay-per-view, or a tag match against Swerve and Swerve and Art Glory, if you will, or the Acclaimed if they win, and have a good match. I'm not saying they got to get the dub, but at least allow them to have a good, solid tag match on an AEW pay-per-view.
Indeed. Guys, unfortunately, it's about that time. Cole, any final thoughts?
Guys, as always, thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We sincerely appreciate it. I do want to just remind you one more time that you can support us through all of the things mentioned earlier in the show, our Patreon, subscribing on Twitch, Cash App, PayPal, those ways, the belt raffles. Also in the chat, we posted our Discord link. So if you like to talk wrestling, want to talk wrestling throughout the week, we have a lot of big talkers in there. And you guys can get in there. Lots of different chat threads to talk about all your favorite wrestling that's out there. So we have different groups for all the promotions. So maybe we didn't touch on your favorite promotion tonight. We still talk about it in those chat threads. So you can join through that link as well. And you can support us through Pro Wrestling Tees. That is a way that you can support us. You can get all your favorite Going Broadway podcast merch at our Pro Wrestling Tees store. Make sure that you are following us in all of our social medias, more specifically our Instagram that is brand new. It's the Going Broadway podcast on Instagram. Follow us there. I haven't done much with it yet, but we will be doing some giveaways here. I think it's at 5. What was the amount, Alex?
500.
500 likes. We'll do a giveaway. So tell your friends, share it, get it out there. You all know we go all out on giveaways. So make sure that you're following the Instagram page, and we'll be doing some stuff there. And next week, I will be posting our very first Instagram social media Viewers' Choice Wrestler of the Week. So make sure that you're following on all of those platforms so you can get your vote in on that as well. And don't forget that next Thursday, we will have Charlie Haas with us, and it's going to be a great time. We're going to talk about his career. Who knows? We might even ask a veteran like him his thoughts on the current landscape of wrestling and what he thinks is going on and all of that good stuff. So,
and by the way, guys, another perk of being one of our patron members is anytime we have a guest on, Patreon members always are granted preference with questions for guests.
Yep.
Always.
So other than that, guys, I absolutely love that we get to chat with you and get on here, and I'm loving these night podcasts where there's not this pressure to wrap it up real quick, but we still like to respect the time. So thank you guys.
And one other thing, guys, keep it in the back of your minds, put it on your calendar. We are switching to Monday nights beginning in October. Monday.
So you can watch our show, and they're in the chat right now. You can then switch right over from our show to Oxen Brand Music and check them out. We'll be rating them and doing some stuff after the show with them. So if you like good music and a good time, they do a lot of fun stuff over there too. So we'll be doing that on Mondays as well. So love you guys. It's been a great night. Had a blast. Alex killed it on the mic drop. And until next week with Charlie Haas, I leave you with your favorite thing in the entire world.
We'll see you guys next week with Charlie Haas. Peace.